начинается!
Greetings, folks. Horm here with a World of Warships replay. I'd like to welcome back Sky Tank Dog from the EU server. Some of my regular viewers may recognize this player from a previous video called Maximum Spotting, where Sky racked up over 250,000 in spotting damage in his Cossack, and today he brings us a replay in the premium Tier 9 Soviet large cruiser Kronshtadt. He is in a domination match on Hotspot. There are Tier 10 aircraft carriers in play, as well as many other Tier 10 ships. Now, Sky is training a new commander, and so the commander has relatively few skill points, and his upgrades are pretty normal for a large cruiser. He does take the aiming systems modification in slot 3 to improve or reduce the dispersion on a ship that has a little bit of a reputation of having a pretty wonky dispersion at range. Now, the backstory for this replay is something that I think many of us can relate to. Sky was having challenges with matches in Ranked, and this is during when Ranked was at Tier 9, IM's Arms race, and I gather he was having a lot of difficulty getting wins and progressing up the rank levels, and so he decided to take a little bit of a break from Ranked and bring the Kronshtadt into a random battle, and he definitely has a good match out of this, so let's see how things go. Getting to the gameplay, and I apologize if my voice sounds a little bit different. I recorded the commentary for the gameplay a couple hours after I did the introduction. Sky is going to move here to the Delta Cap to provide support for his destroyer that's moving to this cap, and also to provide radar detection. We can see that the Delta Cap is being taken now by the opposing team. One challenge that we do have here, actually a couple of challenges. One is that the Allied Großer Kurfürst that is located at Hotel 8 has not gotten into the game and has not moved up, so we don't have any support from him right now. Although we do have an allied Montana that is moving to the Delta Cap. And then the other challenge that Sky specifically is going to have here is you can see this incoming fire, and this is coming from the opposing Tier 9 cruiser, the Neptune. And this Neptune's going to be kind of a thorn in Sky's side, putting a lot of fire on him as Sky is detected. Obviously, Sky is trying to use some terrain here to provide some insulation against torpedoes and against incoming fire, but it's also putting him vulnerable to air attack from frankly, both of the opposing aircraft carriers. The Midway in particular, I'm sorry, not the Midway, the opposing Kuryu, I believe, is carrying AP bombs, and we'll get a couple of strikes in here on Sky. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting here, and I asked Sky about this, at no point during this battle Sky activates his defensive fire. It looks like he was unaccustomed to having it, and it wasn't something that was ingrained in him to activate when he does come under attack. But he is going to be able to survive the attacks that he does face from the aircraft carriers, although the aircraft carriers are going to be able to get a few strikes on him. Now, the other thing I noticed as I was preparing this replay was that Sky holds on to his repair party for quite a while, so he could get back probably about 20% of his health at this point that he's lost due to the fire from the Neptune as well as the attacks from the opposing aircraft carrier. But at this point, he has yet to use them. Now, to his advantage, the adrenaline rush skill that he has taken on his captain is definitely helping him out here because his guns are going to reload more quickly. Sky is going to make a good choice here to move in with his Montana, who's pushing into the cap, followed by a Worcester, or an allied Worcester, and this is going to help them push off the opposing gearing that we can see that is on Sky's sort of 2 o'clock position, although Sky can't quite get shells on the gearing because the gearing has an island between himself and that destroyer. It looks like the destroyer is going to try to come out here and get a torpedo strike on the Montana and the Worcester, but I don't think that the gearing's actually going to end up being very successful in this attack when he does come out. The other thing now that Sky has to be a little bit careful of is that he's got an opposing North Carolina on his starboard side, and he's going to be quite broadside too. There, the Gearing takes a very bad salvo from the Worcester, and the Worcester is able to finish him off. Here come the torpedoes from the Worcester. Looks like the Montana correctly anticipated those torpedoes and may have avoided all but one of them. And the Worcester has taken a fair amount of damage. I'm not sure whether he took any torpedoes from the Gearing or whether that's damage from the North Carolina exclusively. I have to believe that at least one or both of them did take a torpedo from the destroyer, but they were able to get the destroyer out. And right now the opposing team is contesting Delta with this opposing Cleveland that's in the cap. Now, Sky is unconcerned, or isn't going to be concerned about dealing with the Cleveland. With the 305mm AP, he's going to be able to Citadel the cruiser when the cruiser comes out broadside. His bigger issue, again, is this opposing Neptune. And Sky has made an interesting choice here to turn broadside to the Neptune. The British light cruisers have very high DPM, and their shells have very good penetration characteristics on broadside targets. And again, here Sky is yet to activate any of his repair parties, but he's been able to survive a lot of the onslaught from that Neptune. And the Neptune is getting out because obviously he's concerned about getting radared and then taking some serious salvos. But he's also made the choice of being broadside to Sky here, and Sky's going to land a couple of penetrations, but Sky's going to get some additional hits on that Neptune here shortly and kind of get this little bit of a nemesis off his flank, and that will definitely make it easier for him to operate here. Clearly the opposing yes, there's a couple of citadels on the Neptune. Clearly the opposing Cleveland is trying to keep an island between himself and Sky, because the Cleveland, I think, recognizes the threat that a Kronshtadt can be to a light cruiser that this Neptune is now finding. Didn't quite get the Neptune down there, got a few shells on him. It looked like he may have aimed a little bit high, but I think with this next salvo he's going to land true. And because the Neptune's having to brake here as he's getting closer to the island. I don't know if his intention was to try to get into smoke or to change his speed in order to throw off the next salvo, but Sky is able to get to the Neptune down, and now he's taken that very high DPM cruiser off his flank. Sky did use one of his repair parties, and so has gotten some of his health back, and now he's able to put some fire on this opposing North Carolina. The Allied Montana goes down to the attacks from the opposing Akiryu. And here Sky's got a broadside shot on the Cleveland. Doesn't land any penetrations, but he gets enough over penetrations that he's able to finish off a cruiser. And the Allied team is now going to be able to take the Delta cap basically uncontested. Again, here Sky is not using his defensive fire, and he's come under attack from the opposing aircraft carriers. The Kronshtadt is not known for having very strong AA to begin with. Normally on cruisers, I take the AA guns modification in slot 3 to improve the capabilities of the AA, because one of the key roles of a cruiser is in the game is to provide anti-air support. Obviously, some ships and some nations are better known for their anti-air support, like the U.S. Navy and even the Royal Navy, especially at higher tiers. The Kronshtadt, on the other hand, does not have particularly strong AA, but with defensive fire, it would probably make it a little easier for Sky to push off some of the opposing aircrafts that have been trying to attack him. Here, Sky is now coming under attack from the opposing Grosser Kurfürst, and he's pretty lucky there to have not taken too much damage. Part of that's maybe aiming, part of that may just be classic German dispersion, combination thereof, but he's able to weather a couple of 6-gun salvos from the opposing Kurfürst, and the Kurfürst is now no longer targeting Sky at this point. So Sky is up to 90,000 in damage. So the early going here was a little bit slow. Again, he was kind of getting punished by the opposing aircraft carrier as well as the Neptune. But now that they've gotten some of these opposing ships off the flank, and he was able to work the Neptune, who had fled his smoke, as well as the Cleveland and the North Carolina, he's racked up a fair amount of damage here. The Allied team has a very strong hold now on, very strong command of the game. They hold 3 caps. They are about to get their 4th cap. This the Allied gearing that was, I believe, over on the Delta side as well. Although he's gone down, he's been sunk. He did very well in this game, and we'll see the results later on here very shortly. But that gearing player also did a really good job. The opposing team has 2 ships remaining, including this opposing Hakuryu that's now been detected. And I think Sky is going to look to get a little bit of revenge from those air attacks. He's coming under attack again. Again, he's not using his defensive fire, but he is going to weather a bomb attack here successfully. And Sky is going to put out some more shells. In fact, again, Sky has another repair party he could be using, but he hasn't used it yet. And so to some extent, the adrenaline rush is definitely benefiting him here, as he's getting a reload that's probably close to 14 seconds. Gets a couple of citadels on the Hakuryu, gets 2 more citadels there. The opposing team is just down to this 1 carrier at this point. And there's another citadel, and is he going to be able to sink the aircraft carrier, or is that going to go down to the Benson? Find out here, and he's going to sink the aircraft carrier. So he did. Sky did a terrific job here. Again, this was a sort of a redemption match in some ways, or a matter of satisfaction, because he was having quite a frustrating experience in ranked, and this proved to be quite therapeutic, I think, for him. So a terrific job. Definitely earned top XP for the game at over 2,400 base XP with 3 kills. And despite not having used his defensive fire, he did shoot down 4 planes. So great job, Sky. Thank you very much for sharing. We certainly do hope everybody enjoyed the replay and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there, and we wish you happy sailing.